congratulations everyone for coming out in such large numbers and having your voice heard. I'm Jeremy Buckingham, I'm the Greens spokesperson on mining, coal seam gas and agriculture, and I'd like to say at the beginning that we are winning this fight. There's a broad constituency of environmentalists and farmers coming together to say enough is enough. And it's not just here in Mudgee, it's not just in the Central West, it's across Australia. People for the first time in our history are evaluating the true costs of mining.
No more mines near Mudgee! No more mines near Mudgee! No more
mines near Mudgee! No more mines near Mudgee!
No more mines near Mudgee! No more mines near Mudgee! No more mines near Mudgee!
No more mines near Mudgee! No more mines near Mudgee!
No more mines!
Thank you.
Thanks, David. Hey, people.
No more mines near Mudgee!
No more
mines near Mudgee! Donut mining. We take the dough, you get the hole. Beauty.
They're nice donuts. The icing doesn't look terribly attractive.
So we have 2 or 3 mines. One mine in particular has been established a very long time. Second one came along. Third one came along. The long established mine has applied for major expansion. The second mine has also applied for expansion, which will more than double its size. Incredible pace of growth, and at the same time we have a number of exploration licenses for coal that are being worked on, and so we will see the number of mines potentially double in the next 5 to 8 years.
The council has concerns on behalf of the community about infrastructure, about medical, about education issues, about roads, about transport. Everybody knows that we've got a 3-week wait to get into a doctor. Well, that's got to be fixed. You can't put another, predictions of 5,000 people to the region and not address the medical issues.
I become increasingly aware of the nexus between health and mining in my work as a doctor in Lithgow over the last 13 years. Mining communities, particularly coal communities, are associated with higher asthma rates, particularly with children with their narrower airways, higher rates of emphysema, heart attacks, strokes, kidney disease, and some forms of cancer.
A few months ago, the Nature Conservation Council and a number of other groups released a report called Icons Under Threat that sought to draw attention to some of the most iconic natural areas in our state that are threatened by runaway mining and gas development. One of the places that featured in that report was the Drip and Corner Gorge. We sought to draw attention to the impacts that the Moolarben mine will have on groundwater and on the Goulburn River National Park. Since then, local community members have revealed that the Drip has been sold by the New South Wales government to the mining company responsible for the Moolarben expansion proposal, with no public consultation. This extraordinary breach of public faith is being repeated on public lands right across our state. More than 2/3 of our state conservation areas are covered by mining or petroleum titles. Half of our state forests, 2.2 million hectares across the state, are covered by mining or petroleum titles. But it's very important that each of us look a little closer and ask that question, what will this mean for me? What will this mean for my land? And what will this mean for my community? And I think many of you will be left sorely disappointed.
Governments have failed to protect our systems in the past, and this is a prime example, the Goulburn River diversion at Ulan. They are doing some work on it. However, this is an example of somewhere which may never recover. They have pushed it past the threshold, and they may never be able to get it back to a stable system, or it may go into a type of stable system that we don't really want. And using perhaps the Moolarben coal mine as an example for the consumption side of things, I think it was 3,500 million litres per year of water it has estimated it will need to wash its coal and suppress its dust. Now, the dust part of this, it was worked out during quite a wet year, so I suspect they're underestimating. It'll be more than 3,500 million litres per year. But with all three mines combined, we're actually looking at something like 11,000 million litres. That's Ulan, Wilpinjong and Moolarben. This is just their use. This is not what they interfere with. So we really are pushing it to the limit. That's about 30 million litres per day of water that they'll be washing coal and suppressing dust. Mines are high water consumers, between 11 to 12 in the Mudgee area, 1,000 million litres per year. That's the prediction. They produce and discharge a lot of poor quality water. And of course, in the Mudgee area, we're being placed under ever-increasing pressure on all our systems, our social, our water, etc., and being pushing them to the brink. And once you get past that threshold to another state, it can change Mudgee. The whole character of Mudgee obviously can change the whole character of our groundwater system.
So the government has just passed its mineral resource rent tax, and while I think that is a good first step, I don't think it should be the last step on the road to having a decent tax system. I think if we had a better taxation system, we could actually have a lot more money coming in, and we should look at to set up some funds. And this is really the best practice in places like Norway, Chile, Papua New Guinea, and even Little East Timor, where I've worked. And I also think we need to set up a wealth fund for when the resources start to run out, because I think they are going to run out a lot sooner than many people think. The official estimates for the amount of resources we have indicates that, for example, the government tells us we have 63 years of gas, but they don't take into account that that gas is actually subject to forward contracts which will quadruple production over the course of the next 20 years. So we're looking more like 15 or 20 years of gas. And also, by building up these funds and investing in foreign currency, which the other countries do, you'll be putting some offsetting pressure on the exchange rate. So you're moderating the boom with the tax, and you're saving some money, you're putting it into foreign currency, and you're therefore you can really have your boom and without trashing the rest of your economy. You can really have your cake and eat it. And lastly, just to talk about some governance reforms, I'm working on a new book at the moment. I hope to come back to Mudgee later in the year, where I might have a launch here if you'll invite me.
We'd love to have you.
And I really think the regulatory model, I came into this with open eyes, without any particular axe to grind, but it is a disgrace. It is a complete sham. State governments say that we're tightly regulated. The mining companies say that.
They're the most regulated.
And there's all these conditions that get put onto these projects. But you know what? The companies actually don't have to comply with those conditions. In many cases, the reports they put to the government are never released. In many cases, they breach their conditions and they never get fined. So this is absolutely a disgrace, and I think we really should demand better of our governments. These mining companies are operating as though they're in a third world country, and if we don't do anything about it, they will, I think, one day turn us into a third world country. So I really think that we need to be really pushing this agenda, and I'm certainly going to be doing it in my new book, that we really do need to think about stronger and independent and jointly managed regulation, so that we don't have this regulatory capture, we don't have these government departments that are basically just under the minister. There's no independence, and also completely strapped for resources. These ministries really don't have the resources they need. The staff are being poached. Coal seam gas companies in Queensland have recently employed 70 staff from the Environment Department, including 3 of the most senior people. So these resource companies are absolutely, depleting our capacity to properly manage these risky projects. It's an absolute disgrace, and we should do something about it. On that depressing note, I might just leave it there, but I'm happy to take some questions. Thank you.
It's so short-sighted, this, it's unbelievable. The royalties are just sort of beads to the natives. That's really what it is. It's the same old, same old. And we can't...
I think, unfortunately, in this country, there is a great, what Ross Garnaut called in my book, I quoted in my book, a great complacency. A great complacency. We just think we have limitless amounts of resources. We don't really think we're ever going to fall on difficult times. I think that's very dangerous.
Mine's in Mudgee! No more! Mine's in Mudgee!
No more! Mine's near Mudgee!
No more! Mine's near Mudgee! Corporate greed, what is the need? Put your name in. Mine's near Mudgee! No more! Mine's near Mudgee! No more! Mine's near Mudgee!
This is the starting point. Here between
War.
Boo boo!
Mine's near Mudgee! No more! Mine's near Mudgee! No more!